Let me take you to the moment where your mind first learned to betray you. It wasn't loud. It rarely is. Negative thoughts don't enter like storms. They slip in like drafts through a cracked window, unnoticed, until the whole room feels cold. And maybe today, as you watch this, you're still standing in that cold room, wondering why your own mind keeps turning on you. Wondering why anxiety, self-doubt, and the quiet weight of imagined failures return even after you swear you're done with them. You've tried distraction, you've tried pretending, you've tried being positive. But the noise returns, doesn't it? Like a whisper you didn't invite and can't silence. Marcus Aurelius knew that whisper. The emperor who ruled the largest empire in the world faced the same hidden turbulence you face in your bedroom at 2 a.m. His journals, the meditations, were not battlefield strategies, but battles against himself. You have power over your mind, he wrote, not outside events. But he didn't say that as a king. He said it as a man trying to breathe through the chaos inside his own skull. Yet the question lingers. How did he learn to command the storm when the rest of us drown in it? That's what this journey is about. Because if negative thoughts can invade without warning, then the antidote must be something deeper than motivational slogans or temporary calm. It must be a kind of inner architecture, a structure the Stoics built brick by brick, habit by habit. And the truth is, they didn't just remove negative thoughts. They rewired the paths those thoughts used to travel. But how? And why do these ancient habits still work in a world where the noise is louder, faster, and more cunning than anything Zeno or Cleanthes could have imagined? Somewhere inside you, beyond the fear and the spirals, there is a quiet space. You've touched it before, in moments when you weren't trying to impress anyone, fix anything, or escape your own thoughts. A moment when you simply existed, unburdened. Maybe it lasted a breath, maybe less, but it was real. And the Stoics believed you could live from that place, not just visit it. That's the promise hidden inside their wisdom, not a life without thoughts, but a life no longer ruled by them. This is where the path begins, but not where it ends. Because in the next chapters, you'll discover the 5 powerful Stoic habits that dissolve negative thoughts from their roots. Not tips, not hacks, habits. Practices that the greatest ancient minds used to cut fear, overthinking, and emotional storms down to their foundations. But the first one, the first habit, is heavier than it seems. And once you hear it, you may realize it's something you've been avoiding your whole life. And that's exactly why we start there.
There is a moment every thinker encounters, a moment when the mind spins so fast it feels like you're being pulled out of yourself. You felt it, the small spark of a thought that grows claws, gripping your attention until it becomes an entire narrative. What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? What if everything goes wrong? These are not questions. They're intruders wearing the mask of logic, and yet you let them in. We all do. Even the Stoics did. They were not born with calm minds. They forged them. The first habit they practiced, the one Marcus Aurelius clung to during nights of war and disease, was deceptively simple. Not easy, simple. It begins with awareness, real awareness, not the shallow kind we pretend to have. The Stoics called it reshape, the disciplined attention to the movements of one's own mind. Marcus wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Imagine him writing that alone in his tent, the empire trembling outside. But his battle was with the shades of fear inside. He was not trying to think positive. He was watching, patiently, almost like a quiet observer sitting at the back of his own mind. Habit 1, the discipline of noticing. But notice what? The Stoics believed that negative thoughts lose their poison the moment they are caught in the light. Seneca once wrote, "If you wish to rid yourself of anxiety, first understand its nature." He didn't say conquer it. He didn't say fight it. He said understand. And modern neuroscience agrees. The amygdala, the brain's alarm bell, calms significantly when a thought is labeled instead of suppressed. Naming the thought is not weakness. It is the first act of reclaiming your inner territory. Think of the last time your mind spiraled. Maybe it was a message left unread, a mistake you couldn't take back, a future you were terrified of miscalculating. The thought wasn't the problem, the unexamined reaction was. Negative thoughts grow in darkness, not in truth. Habit 1 is the act of turning on the light. When the Stoics taught their students, they would ask, "What exactly is disturbing you?" Not the story, not the catastrophe, the thought itself. And almost always, it was smaller than the storm it created. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, compared the mind to a clenched fist. The tightness, the tension, the pain. These were the unobserved thoughts gripping the soul. But when opened, when examined, when softened with awareness, the fist became a hand again, capable of holding life more gently. This is the heart of Habit 1. Catch the thought the moment it arises, before it becomes a narrative, before it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The discipline of noticing, repeated daily, begins to untangle the knots you thought were permanent. Yet there is something deeper hiding beneath this habit, a truth the Stoics knew but rarely set out right. It is this: you are not your thoughts. You are the one who sees them. And if you can see them, you can reshape them. But to do that, you must learn the next habit, one the Stoics considered far more powerful and far more dangerous, because it demands that you confront the stories you've believed your whole life. And that's where we go next.
There is a point, after noticing a negative thought, where most people retreat. Awareness alone reveals the wound, but the Stoics knew the wound doesn't heal by acknowledgement, it heals by interrogation. This was the step most feared, the step most avoided, the step that feels like walking barefoot across your own insecurities. Habit 2 is the habit that separates the passerby from the practitioner, questioning the thought until it collapses. Epictetus taught this with almost surgical clarity. It is not things that disturb us, he said, but our judgments about them. Imagine those words landing inside a mind spiraling with worst-case scenarios. They hit like a stone thrown into murky water. Everything ripples. If your judgments create your distress, then the distress isn't fate, isn't destiny, isn't proof of failure. It's simply commentary. Commentary you can rewrite. But the modern world trains us to treat our thoughts as commands. The Stoics trained themselves to treat thoughts as hypotheses, unverified, untrusted, waiting to be tested. Habit 2 is exactly that test. When a negative thought arises, I'm not good enough, everything will fall apart, they must be disappointed in me. The Stoic response wasn't to drown it with affirmations. It was to turn inward like a philosopher and ask, is this true? How do I know? Why am I so convinced? What evidence exists beyond my fear? These questions are not gentle. They expose illusions. They reveal the scaffolding beneath your emotional pain. Seneca once described the mind as a poor fortune teller, always predicting storms, rarely predicting clear skies. We suffer more in imagination than in reality, he wrote. And here is where Habit 2 becomes a blade. You catch the mind in its exaggerations. You pull apart the story thread by thread until the catastrophe shrinks down to its actual size. What remains is rarely as monstrous as it first appeared. Neuroscience echoes this. The prefrontal cortex activates when a person challenges their thoughts, weakening the emotional grip of the fear centers. The Stoics discovered cognitive restructuring long before psychology named it. Think of your last emotional spiral. Not the surface-level panic, the quiet engine beneath it. A message left unanswered becomes "they're angry." A mistake becomes I've ruined everything. Silence becomes, I'm being rejected. These leaps aren't logic, they're reflexes born from old pain. Habit 2 confronts that reflex. It exposes the invisible assumptions steering your suffering. It forces the question the mind avoids most. What if I'm wrong about all this? Zeno's students practiced this daily. They were taught to treat each troubling thought as an opponent in a wrestling match. You don't run from it. You don't fear it. You face it. You grip it. You test its strength. And more often than not, the thought slips, loses balance, and falls apart. Because negative thoughts are loud, but rarely accurate. Yet questioning a thought is only half the battle. Once a thought collapses, something else emerges, the raw truth beneath it. A truth you must learn to articulate with precision. That articulation, that reframing, that is habit 3. And it requires courage of a different kind, the courage to rebuild your inner narrative, not from fear, but from clarity. And we go there next.
There is a strange silence that follows the collapse of a negative thought, like the quiet after a wave breaks. You've questioned it, pulled its threads apart, exposed its exaggerations. But now what? Many people stop here, relieved, but still vulnerable. Because when you destroy a harmful narrative, you leave an empty space behind, and the mind hates empty spaces. It rushes to fill them, often with the same old fears wearing new masks. The Stoics understood this danger intimately. They believed that the mind once cleared must not be left unguarded. It must be reframed, rebuilt, repainted deliberately. Habit 3 is exactly that, replacing the false narrative with a truthful one. The Stoics never saw reframing as a form of delusion. They saw it as the ultimate act of clarity. Marcus Aurelius practiced it like a ritual. When faced with fear, he wrote, "If it's endurable, then endure it. If it's not, then stop complaining." But the line most people miss is what he wrote next. What stands in the way becomes the way. He wasn't inspiring himself, he was rewriting the story, taking a threat and transforming it into a path, taking a fear and turning it into a teacher. Habit 3 means taking the raw material of a negative thought and reshaping it into something honest, grounded, and functional. Imagine you've just interrogated a thought like, "I always mess things up." Habit 2 dismantles it. Habit 3 rebuilds it into, "I made a mistake, and mistakes are part of learning." Or a thought like, "They must hate me." Habit 3 reframes it into, "I don't know what they're thinking, but I can control how I show up." This isn't forced positivity, it's disciplined truth. It's choosing the narrative that aligns with reality, not fear. Seneca offered a powerful guide for this habit when he wrote, "Nothing is worth doing pointlessly." Negative thoughts waste life because they distort life. Reframing restores accuracy. It pulls you out of the fog and puts your feet back on real ground. Modern neuroscience confirms the impact. Reframed thoughts activate neural pathways associated with resilience and emotional regulation, slowly rewiring the brain's response to stress. The Stoics lived this long before fMRI machines existed. They shaped their thoughts the way a craftsman shapes metal: heated, hammered, cooled, and repeated. Zeno taught his students a practice called phantasia catalepticae, the clear impression. When a thought arises, you rebuild it into its clearest, most objective form. What is actually happening? What is in my control? What interpretation helps me act with virtue instead of fear? This reframing becomes a habit, a lens through which the world stops feeling like a battlefield and starts feeling like a landscape you can navigate. But habit 3 holds a harder truth. Once you start rebuilding your thoughts, you realize how many of them were borrowed from childhood, from society, from past wounds that never healed. And this leads directly into the fourth habit, one the Stoics guarded fiercely because it touches the most uncomfortable part of the human mind: attachment to outcomes. Habit 4 demands that you let go of something you've been clinging to your entire life, perhaps without even knowing it. And that is where we go next.
There is a hidden reason negative thoughts keep returning even after you notice them, question them, and reshape them. It's the same reason your heart tightens when you refresh your messages, or when your plans wobble, or when someone's silence feels like a verdict. The Stoics identified this as the most silent enemy of the mind: attachment to outcomes. Habit 4 is the discipline of releasing what was never fully yours: the responses, the approvals, the future you keep trying to control as if gripping harder will finally make things stable. Epictetus spoke of this like a physician diagnosing an illness. Some things are in our control and others not. People quote this casually, but imagine hearing it in a moment of collapse, when everything feels like it depends on one decision, one person, one outcome going exactly your way. Epictetus wasn't simplifying life, he was cutting through its illusions. Most negative thoughts are forecasts of imagined futures. Most anxiety isn't about the present, it's about the burden of trying to control the uncontrollable. Habit 4 is the shift that breaks this burden. It asks, what part of this situation belongs to me? And what part is beyond my reach? The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control, but it's less a concept and more a liberation. Marcus Aurelius lived under constant threat, war, betrayal, plague. Yet he wrote, "If it is outside your control, it is not your concern." Not because he didn't care, but because caring about the uncontrollable is a direct invitation for suffering. Think of your life right now. How much of your pain is tied to results you cannot force? Someone liking you, someone choosing you, a plan succeeding, a fear not happening, a dream unfolding exactly as you imagined. These attachments tighten the mind like chains. Negative thoughts grow strongest wherever you feel most desperate to control the outcome. Habit 4 breaks the chain by shifting your focus to the only place where power exists: your actions, not their results. Modern psychology echoes this ancient wisdom. Studies on anxiety show that the brain becomes calmer when attention shifts from outcomes, uncertain, uncontrollable, to processes, concrete, actionable. The Stoics discovered this centuries ago. Peace is a byproduct of focusing on what you can actually govern. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Letting go of outcomes doesn't mean letting go of effort. It means releasing the illusion that the future owes you something because you tried hard. Zeno lost everything in a shipwreck before founding Stoicism. When told it was a misfortune, he responded, "I made a prosperous voyage when I suffered shipwreck." He released his attachment to what he lost and built an entire philosophy from the wreckage. Habit 4 invites you to do the same. Act with clarity, release the rest. Because once you stop clinging to outcomes, a new silence appears, a kind that makes space for something deeper. The resilience to face whatever comes without collapsing into fear-driven thoughts. And that resilience, that unshakable inner steadiness, is habit 5, the final habit, the one the Stoics considered the highest form of mental freedom.
There comes a moment on every inner journey where the ground beneath you shifts, not because you've reached the end, but because you're finally close to the truth. After practicing the first 4 habits, your mind becomes quieter, clearer, more honest. But a strange thing happens here, a paradox the Stoics knew too well. Once the noise begins to fade, the deeper layers of yourself begin to surface. Old fears you didn't know you carried, silences you avoided for years, questions you never dared to ask when your mind was loud enough to distract you from them. And this is where most people stop. They think peace means escaping discomfort, but real peace demands the courage to face it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." But he wasn't describing a vacation. He was describing a confrontation. Because once you turn within, you meet the part of yourself that has been shaping your negative thoughts from the shadows, your unprocessed hurt, your unspoken expectations, your unhealed stories. And to free yourself from negative thoughts permanently, the Stoics believed you must go deeper than understanding, questioning, and reframing. You must step into a higher discipline. Habit 5, the one they reserved for those ready to transform, not simply cope. Epictetus taught his students that everything in life has two handles, one that weakens you and one that strengthens you. Most people cling to the weak handle without knowing it, responding with fear, clinging to old interpretations, protecting old wounds. But Habit 5 shifts you to the stronger handle, the one that makes negative thoughts lose their final foothold. It is not about avoidance or resistance. It's not about replacing bad thoughts with pretty ones. It's something far more demanding and far more liberating. Seneca hinted at this when he wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Notice the word polished. Seneca wasn't glorifying suffering. He was revealing a secret. Friction is not the enemy. It is a tool, a teacher, a sculptor of the mind. And Habit 5 requires that you step into that friction consciously, willingly, skillfully. It is the moment where you stop fearing the presence of negative thoughts and start using them as material for your evolution. Modern psychology confirms what the Stoics already understood. Suppressing discomfort strengthens it. Approaching it breaks its power. Negative thoughts shrink when met with emotional courage and conscious engagement. And yet, very few people train this courage because it asks for something they've never tried before, something that pulls you beyond the surface of your mind and into the depths where your true strength waits. Zeno described this as learning to live according to nature, but not the nature of the world, the nature of yourself. Habit 5 is the moment you align with that nature, the moment you stop treating your thoughts as enemies and start seeing them as signals, the moment you lay down the armor you've been wearing for years and confront life without flinching. But what exactly is Habit 5? What is this final Stoic discipline that dissolves negative thoughts at their root and leaves you unshaken by what once overwhelmed you? That revelation belongs to the final chapter, the one the Stoics considered the doorway to true inner freedom.
Habit 5. Transmute the thought by acting against it. Not fighting the thought, not replacing it, not drowning it in affirmations. Acting in the opposite direction of what the negative thought demands. Marcus Aurelius practiced this ruthlessly. When fear whispered, "Hold back," he stepped forward. When doubt told him, "Wait," he moved. When the mind offered a storm, he answered with deliberate, grounded action. The Stoics knew that a negative thought loses its authority the moment you behave as if its prophecy has no power. In that instant, you stop negotiating with weakness. You retrain the mind through experience, not theory. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This wasn't motivational fluff, it was neurological alchemy. Your brain reshapes itself around the actions you take, not the worries you contemplate. Every step in defiance of a negative thought rewires the inner landscape, turning old fears into fossils. So, the next time your mind mutters, "You can't," answer by doing the smallest version of what you feared. If it growls, "You're not ready," take the next humble step anyway. If it presses, "What if it goes wrong?" meet it with, "Then I'll learn." This habit is the final door because it transforms Stoicism from philosophy into embodiment.
Your actions become your reply to the world. Your courage becomes your message to yourself. And negative thoughts, those old ghosts, learn they no longer command the realm they once haunted. With this final habit, you don't banish negativity, you outgrow it.